Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside Indiana Overtime. Alex McCarthy, Seth Tao, Memorial Stadium, where the Memorial Stadium in Bloomington, just to clarify, because both these teams play in Memorial Stadium. Indiana loses to Nebraska 27-22 in a real weird game. Indiana was really quickly got down 17-0, and then Indiana's defense was actually pretty good all game. But they just shut Nebraska down for the second and third quarters, and Indiana's offense, got closer to getting Indiana in the game, but was never really able to get it done really tonight.
Yeah, the defense stepped up and kept Indiana in the game, but they can't do it by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the offense just had absolutely nothing going tonight. The rush game was nowhere to be found. They as a whole, 7 rushers combined for less than 100 yards for Indiana.
Yeah.
Divine Redding had a season low in number of carries and yards, 11 carries for 57 yards. And when your running game is when you're a team like Indiana that needs to establish a run game and you don't have that going, there's no crutch to lean on with your pass game.
Yeah.
And that's partially why Xander Diamont came in. They were switching in Diamont and Lego. That's partially why, because Wilson said they wanted to try to boost the running game a little bit.
Yeah, and there were a couple plays that worked, but for the most part, Nebraska just kind of had IU bottled up, and Indiana it was kind of the same story that it's been all year, where IU was close. They were in the red zone, they were in kind of the scoring zone, and then they didn't want to go for a long field goal. They didn't seem to want to pass the ball on third and short, fourth and short, things like that, and they just gave it away to Nebraska a few times.
2 on fourth down.
Yeah, and Richard Lego threw 2 interceptions. One of them got returned for a touchdown, and one of them was the play that basically ended the game. He was obviously unhappy after the game, and just, I don't know, from talking to him, that it basically it comes down to executing on third down, executing in the red zone, because Indiana, except for tonight, Indiana's racked up a lot of yards this year, especially passing-wise. Richard Lego is the leading passer in the Big Ten, but they just have not scored, an appropriate level of points in relation to the yards they put up. So it's kind of the same issues over and over for Indiana's offense.
Exactly. Wilson said after the game that he was saying that before the game he thought that if they were going to have a chance to win, they need to score high 30s, low 40s, and 22 points is not even close.
Yeah. I said earlier this week that if Indiana's going to win this game, it's not going to be 10-7. Where he knew there were going to be some points scored, and that's not a statement about the defense at all, but it's just this is how football is these days. But the defense was great again tonight. Really good. They held Nebraska. For the second week in a row, they really the pass game. They really locked down receivers. They got a little bit of pressure on Tommy Armstrong, and Armstrong is quick enough and nimble enough to kind of move around and at least throw the ball away. So I think they only sacked him once, but still they were in his face a lot and forced a lot of not great throws, and he ended up 10 for 26, 208 yards, 2 picks. Not a great night, and it follows up a really good performance by the pass defense at Ohio State, where JT Barrett was 9 for 21 for 93 yards. So the pass defense is certainly playing well. The rush defense is doing what it can, even though there are a lot of points where Terrell Newby just kind of slashed them for 9 or 11 yards or something like that. But in general, again, this IU defense again proved that it's legit.
Right. Points-wise, the only difference in the game was the fluky touchdown that Nebraska scored in the second half when a couple IU defenders collided into each other, and which allowed Nebraska's receiver to go untouched to the end zone.
Yeah, and there's that weird play. There's Marcelino Ball tipped a pass, and everyone thought that it hit the ground, and a Nebraska receiver was right behind him and made the catch. And then Nebraska scored a couple plays later, and there was a lot of weird plays. There's a possible fumble. It was really close. Where initially the referees called it a fumble, and then the line judge came in and called him down, and they reviewed it and called him down. It was just there were a lot of weird, like Nebraska's points came in very strange ways, and there was obviously the pick six. So there were a lot of just weird plays, and I think it was either Tony Fields or Chase Dutra after the game who said, we play good defense 98% of the time, but that's not acceptable. You can't have one play or a couple plays that just totally kill you. So that's where Indiana is. I mean, they're making plays a lot of the time. They're just not making them at the right time.
And not enough on the right side of the ball. The defense can only do so much to help you. I mean, you can't expect the defense to put points on the board like you should be expecting the offense to.
Right.
I mean, when the defense gives you two interceptions and the special teams gives you a block punt,
safety.
for that led to that created points, but the offense just needed to do more. They only had, off the 2 interceptions, they only had 3 points total.
Yeah, which is obviously not ideal when you get good field position.
And the first interception came in Nebraska territory.
So that's pretty much the story of Indiana's season so far. Nothing really that surprising tonight, but it's the way it goes. Indiana goes to Northwestern next week, which suddenly looks like a much more difficult game. Well, who knows? Maybe Michigan State is just really bad. Maybe they're just terrible because Northwestern lit them up tonight, scored 54 points, which I don't even know if Northwestern had scored 54 points this season. It didn't even feel like. But yeah, so we'll see what that game is. We won't be there. We are actually going to be across the parking lot in Assembly Hall for Hoosier Hysteria. So here we go. Basketball, the overlap begins between basketball and football. So
fun part.
Yeah, so send coffee. Thanks for watching. Again, Indiana loses to Nebraska 27-22 here, and a lot of questions offensively and a few statements defensively. But for Seth, I'm Alex McCarthy. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.